It's time for the Nebraska Baseball Coaches Show.
The next one. Fastball chopped to third. Overbeat grabs it. Steps on the bag for one. The long throw across the diamond. Double play. Inning over. And Nebraska's lead holds at 3-2.
3-2 pitch. That one's turned on into left field. This one's got a chance. It's towards the wall. It's a fair ball. It's gone. Hogan Halixo with the at-bat of the game. What a battle. And what a blast out to left field. It's 2-1, Big Red.
Brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealers.
That would be Cale Frost representing the winning run. This ball's turned on into right field. This one's got a shot. Case Sanderson walks it off. Nebraska wins it on a 3-run bomb by Case Sanderson. And the Huskers win the series.
Now with Will Bolt, here's your host, Ben McLaughlin.
Good evening and welcome to the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin, happy to be joined in studio by Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. We got you for the next hour, Coach, but man, it's hard to believe that this was the final home series of the year. I felt like we were kind of joking about this in the broadcast booth before the game on Friday, that California trip seems like 2 years ago that was, and here we are with the final home series and the stretch run of games here.
Yeah, it is wild to think that we're here and the home schedule's finished up, and the California trip seemed like a full season in and amongst itself. So it's good to have some awesome crowds this past weekend, and glad we're able to win a series. Obviously would have loved to have finished off a sweep, but we've set ourselves up here these last 4 weekends winning series, and to go have a chance to go make a run. So just very thankful for all the support we've had out at the yard, and we had great weather, it was just awesome to see all the red in the stands.
It's every coach's desire to play quality baseball or whatever sport they're coaching all year long, realistic or not realistic. If you had to pick and choose, obviously we want to be playing the best towards the end of the year. And I think a lot of areas you guys maybe are playing the best baseball you've played all year at this point in time. And you think about how the season started and how many guys you had struggling offensively, the injuries. How are you feeling about, the team headed into, the final regular season of the year and then hopefully postseason beyond that?
Yeah, like you said, we're playing as well together right now as we've played over the entirety of the season, and we've gotten going quite a bit better offensively. Low-scoring games this weekend. It's kind of indicative of how the ballpark played, and I think you and I maybe were talking about this before in pregame. It's been odd this year. There haven't been a whole lot of favorable wins for offense in our ballpark. It usually either blows out to right or left. Seems like in about 70% of our games this spring in our ballpark, it's been kind of a pitcher-friendly win. So the scores were down this weekend because of that, I think, and or a contributing factor at least. And they kind of settled in, all of them, to be tighter pitchers duel type games, and pitching staff did an amazing job, and so we feel really good about kind of where that things are with that. Brockett had really in totality up to this point has had a very consistent Big Ten season, been our most consistent starter. Ty Horn is really feeling confident right now about how he's pitched these last 4 outings. In particular, Will Walsh did his thing out of the bullpen and pitched really well, and Chris Stowe's, I think he's in top 10 in the country in appearances. We use him, seems like 2 or 3 times a week. So those guys are feeling good. Sure would like to get Stone back. Hopefully we can get him back for the Purdue, at least in some capacity. Same with Max Butenbeck as he recovers from illness. So, but defensively, we've done a nice job. Infield defense has been great. You've got Silva and Bolin out there running balls down together in the outfield. I like to think that that's really helped the pitching staff as well.
It wasn't all that long ago that you and I were talking about how exciting of a game that Tuesday night in Lincoln against the Wildcats was with K-State and obviously the big swing that Swanson put on that ball. But I kind of feel like we're finding ourselves in a lot of late inning dramatics lately. Comes down to the last at bat. You guys, fighting tooth and nail to either come back and tie the game or take the lead in a game in the ninth inning or win the game in the ninth inning, force extra innings. I feel like to a certain degree it's really pumped up the belief in that dugout. Not winning every single one of those, but at least, more than giving yourself a puncher's chance at the end and believing that they can go get it done in any situation.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really when you want to have your best at-bats. Obviously, you'd love to have them at the beginning of the game and get some separation, but you'd really love to have your best at-bats in the 7th, 8th innings and 9th if you need it, if you absolutely have to have it. And that's really kind of what we've seen here of late, especially called the fourth quarter of a baseball game, those 6th, 7th, and 8th innings where it really does matter who can outscore their opponents in those innings. And we've done a nice job of that here in the last, you see the run of the last 15 to 20 games where we've played much, much better and just putting together some things. And like you said, the belief really comes not only what you do in the bullpen beyond the 5th inning, but what you feel like your offense can do late in games as well.
Well, let's kind of recap this weekend with Michigan. Certainly Friday drew a lot of intrigue and eyeballs because of the situation on the mound. And, Will has been, like it or not, kind of thrust into that Friday night role because of the injury to Mac. And I think to this point has more than done a serviceable job in that role, a role that none of us really expected him to have this year. But getting ready to try something else with the stretch run here, needing guys to step up, and Tucker's really been pitching well for us, and I know you coaches are really excited about Tucker and what he brings to the staff. Walk through with us the decision, and then I have to imagine, I know how that conversation went down with Tucker, but how he accepted that challenge and then ultimately performed on Friday night.
Yeah, so obviously just coming into the decision, as you said, there was a stretch there where Will was fantastic and a lot of quality starts and gave us a chance to win each time out on Friday. Unfortunately, the last month or so kind of hasn't been that way, and we've been fortunate enough to battle back and win some series on the strength of offense and at times, and then, like I said, with Horn getting going and Brockett being very consistent. But felt like it was just really, especially with 2 weekends to go, wanted to see it in a different light, see Timmerman at the front of the game. And again, knowing that Michigan's pitching staff was one of the tops in the conference, if you lose that Friday game, again, it's always a tall task to come back and win the series, but you give yourself a better chance to win that Friday game, then you got a chance to go sweep, which obviously we were in position to do this weekend. So felt like Tucker was going to have a chance to keep the ball in the ballpark. He's got the heavy sink, and just going to set the tone in terms of just that bulldog mentality and some of those things. So just wanted to take a look at it, and not because we just said, well, we'll just flip a coin and see what happens. That's how highly not only the coaching staff but all the guys on the team feel about Tucker and his demeanor and personality and leadership and stuff, quite honestly, to go get us off on the right foot on the weekend. And we also know, making a run here at the back part of this season and continuing to play well into Purdue and then getting to, the conference tournament as a result of that, you're going to need maybe some different combinations of guys, and maybe Will Walsh does find himself starting again at some point. So we're just really trying to pare down that number at this point, now that we don't have any midweek games too this week. And Tucker was very, very excited to take on that role, and he's worked hard for it. And again, I just think you see the value that he brings to the pitching staff, and we've talked about this several times now since he's come back, but it's just allowed other guys to pitch with a little more confidence maybe. And it's quite honestly just covered some innings that we didn't have covered previously that he's just able to do. So just shows the importance that the guy like Tucker is to a pitching staff, whether he's starting on Friday, he's throwing twice a weekend, he's been a midweek starter. It's just those innings that we missed for those 2 months that he was out, and also obviously with McConaughey. So it's helped our pitching staff tremendously.
Tucker obviously has the ability to get strikeouts and punch-outs, which every Friday night guy needs. But I think, we can see it when Tucker's really going well is when he's getting that sink on the fastball and a lot of ground balls. Well, with that, you got to make the plays behind him. And your infield defense on Friday really had some tough chances to, turn a couple double plays, Beak at the hot corner. You've seen great defense at first base really all year, but to see your guys come through and execute in those spots when Tucker did find himself in some danger has to make you feel pretty good as a coach when you're looking to see those guys make those tough plays. Yeah,
you said it. There's going to be balls on the ground with Tucker on the mound, and Overbeek I thought played at a really high level all weekend and really has all year at third base, and he made a huge double play there on Friday night with the bases loaded, and that game has a lot of times shifted in the balance of the other team. And we were on the right side of that. Beak was on his toes. He knew where he was going to go with the baseball. Turned that double play. DC was really, really awesome with the glove all weekend, and again has been all season. Just at making the routine plays and playing good catch and really just making non-routine plays look a lot easier than they are. Brumball has done a nice job, and we saw Rhett Stokes. He was in the game there in the 7th where we turned the double play. We had already started to play defense with that in mind for Tucker's last inning there, just in case something like that happens. So, it's all part of playing well together as a team, and the hitting comes and goes, but it really boils down to timely hitting, how you pitch and how you play defense.
Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. You and I talked about this post-game Friday, but there was a decision to be made, I think, between the 6th and the 7th with Tuck. If memory serves, he was at 91 pitches in between those two innings. I think the bottom third was due up. But these larger scale conversations are coming up more and more. Broderick, how often can you throw him? Christos, same way. Clevenger's starting to become a guy that's used more and more. Now that we're in the stretch run and wins are at an all-time premium, but also, making sure you're listening to guys and they're taking care of their bodies away from the diamond. What's the balance there, and how much communication is going on between player and coach to make sure these guys have the ability to go compete at the highest level?
Yeah, Tucker, he was excited to take the ball again for the 7th. He was feeling really good, relatively low stress with his outing up to that point, and it was really, really close though too, because we had loaded the bases. There was a timeout on the where they did a mound visit during that inning, and if they had made a pitching change, we probably would have taken Tucker out of the game, and that would have got us to the pen one inning earlier. But he was still feeling good. He was, like you said it, he was somewhere in that 85 to 90 pitch range and was at the bottom of the order. So we wanted to give him that chance to kind of get through that part of it, and then have Broderick ready. Was it Broderick or Christo? I can't really remember, but for the top of the order as they turn the lineup over again. So yeah, Broderick he took the ball 3 days on the weekend. Christo's been, he's taken the ball time and time again all season long. And yeah, we're really, really, really finding the guys that we can count on. And that's really what you got to have at this point, because there's no more midweek games, and every game's do or die.
Dorothy Lynch home style, light and lean dressing, endless flavor abilities. We have Coach Bolt here for the next, about 40 minutes or so. You're on the Huskers Radio Network. Nebraska has wrapped up their home slate and now turned their attention to one final road series with the Purdue Boilermakers beginning on Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at Alexander Field in West Lafayette. We're going to step aside for our first break, but before we do that, I want to give you our Nebraska Lottery baseball trivia question. The first person to text the correct answer to 402-413-2400 will receive $100 in Nebraska Lottery scratch tickets. The question is, 4 different Huskers have hit 3 home runs in a single game. Name one of the players who has accomplished this feat. 4 different Huskers have hit 3 homers in a game. Name one of the players who have done so. Answer that question correctly and be the first to do it at 402-413-2400. Get yourself a prize from the Nebraska Lottery. We're back with more with Coach after this.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing for everyone. A great time to buy.
Now everyone pays what we pay.
On Ford trucks.
So you can tow what we tow.
SUVs.
Carpool like we carpool.
And Bronco Sport.
Off-road like we off-road. But what about my parking spot?
It's just employee pricing, not parking.
What a relief. I love that parking spot.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Oh, should I make name tags for everyone?
It's employee pricing for everyone. They don't actually work here.
Can I still make them?
Sure.
Available on the purchase or lease of select new 2024 and 2025 Ford and Lincoln vehicles. U.S. residents only. Prior purchases and AXZD plan ineligible. Place a retail order or take delivery from an authorized Ford or Lincoln dealer stock by 7/7/25. Exclusions apply. See a participating dealer for details.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Neese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
The Huskers Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. The Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour, Ben McLaughlin joined by Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Obviously Friday, very thrilling victory again, very low scoring at what you'd expect on a Friday night. Saturday, more of the same for the Huskers. Obviously felt really good about Ty Horn, and I think he's just continuing to build, and he's continued to get stronger. And then obviously more late-game heroics for the Huskers on Saturday. But let's just start first with Ty, and I think that's the thing that, when you think about that frosted tip freshman from Kansas coming in here, The one thing he had a lot of was confidence, and I think he learned a little bit about what college baseball was and how good of hitters there were at this level. But he's starting to get that confidence back, and I think his stuff's getting better. What are you seeing right now with Ty Horn that's allowing him to keep doing what he's doing?
Yeah, I think it starts with determination. There was a you think about the first starts that he's had of this season, and really his first time to be a starter consistently at this level. His first start came against Vanderbilt. His second start came against LSU. Went down and made a trip to Louisiana Lafayette, and so he's in Washington, I think. So we moved him to Friday night after Matt got hurt, started against Washington, and so he just right out of the gates was tested, and I think maybe he took it on the chin just a little bit, just in terms of, like you said, I don't know that he really lost confidence, but I think he just had a few more doubts than he did to start the year, and it really just the determination piece of it to just not give in and really to just help the team and try to get us over the hump. Really was the main message that we kept trying to preach to him is, just do what it takes for the team. And really, he's really gotten determined, kind of knowing that, hey, if we don't step up here, it's going to be somebody else's turn. And Ty, much like any competitor, true competitor, when you get backed into a corner, you kind of find out who you really are. And so that's really what happened, I think, at this point. And what you've seen since then is more conviction on his pitches. I think he's done a lot less shaking off of Coach Childress's pitches, to be quite honest. I think he's really just kind of stuck with the game plan and not tried to do too much out there and just trust the process. He's changed, throwing more sliders, less curveballs. Still has the curveball. The changeup has become a real weapon for him. It's always been a good pitch, but the usage of it, I think, has increased, which has really helped him against rights and lefts. And you're seeing less walks. I mean, really that kind of had hurt him at times where he was getting behind in the count an awful lot and, either losing guys and walking guys and then trying to get back in the strike zone, just using the middle of the plate too often. And what we're seeing him do now is really just pitch better, use the corners. Fastball up's been a good pitch for him. And he's just really made a lot of quality pitches, and he's really started to go from kind of that guy that's just kind of throwing and saying, I'm just going to kind of throw the ball at the plate and see what happens. Well, what happens is if you throw the ball over the middle, have really good teams like LSU, Vanderbilt, Washington, et cetera, they hit the ball over the fence. They hit doubles. And if you really can locate your pitches, hitting's hard enough. And if you can locate pitches at 95, which is what he's doing now, you give yourself a chance to get later in games and get some earlier contact, less foul balls. So that really that's kind of that maturation process throughout the year. It really started with determination, and kind of where we're at now is he's just trusting the process and the game plan and executing at a high level.
Offensively, Friday and Saturday, a bit different challenges that your offense saw. Friday, that guy you saw it, how he really seemed to get stronger, it felt like, when guys were on base, particularly scoring position, able to pitch himself around some trouble. Got a couple of runs early on him, which certainly helped, and then allowed him to go out of the game. I think he's thrown over 100 pitches 5 or 6 times this year, so no stranger to that. But 4 pitches, anytime, any place kind of guy. Then the guy on Saturday, a little bit different of a challenge that you saw offensively. How did you relay the scattering reports down to the hitters, knowing the differences in arms they were going to see from I would say an atypical Friday starter in terms of velocity, but typical in that he has the command, and then obviously what you saw on Saturday?
Yeah, so we did a really nice job on Friday of executing a game plan out of the chutes, and it led to second and third, nobody out in both the first and second inning. And you do that, you set yourself up to get at least one in each of those innings, and really set yourself up for a crooked number, a three or more. And we came out of there with 2 total in that situation, and kind of let him settle in a little bit more than we would have liked to have. But he's one of the top 100 starting pitchers in the country, honestly. If you look at numbers and walk to strikeout and ERA and some of those things, the breaking ball, really having a hard time picking that breaking ball up. And that's what he went to in those RBI spots for our guys. And then, the Saturday, their starter, Lolly, his fastball usage had gone up significantly in the last 2 weeks. And I don't know if that was a result of the warmer weather. Maybe he's healthier than he was earlier. I'm not real sure. But he certainly has gotten stronger as the year's gone along. Kind of the knock on him, if there was one, was that he hadn't thrown as many strikes as their Friday starter. That was not the case at all on Saturday. We thought there would be a few more pitches middle of the plate. Man, he really did a good job of running that two-seam under a right-handed hitter's hands and kind of used some cut action on the fastball at times and really just threw a lot of fastballs. And we were not as good at executing the game plan off of him, and give him credit. He had a lot to do with that. But, just obviously the big swing by Sandy there. That was a 93-mile-an-hour heater that was probably 2 baseballs in off the plate. Usually we see Sandy kind of inside out that ball to left field, and he really got aggressive and turned the barrel loose. So, just low-scoring games, like I said. I mean, you're not really – it's difficult to rely on slug in our ballpark when the wind is blowing in. I mean, you've got to be able to execute, some small game stuff and get hits with runners in scoring position to score, because it's difficult to set up a situation to slug the ball in the gaps and over the fence when the ballpark's playing big like it was.
Obviously, a moment Sandy will never forget with that swing on Saturday, just bringing the fans to their feet. Moments like that are so special, and for the Huskers to have 3 of those in just over a week's time is something I don't remember happening, this many walk-offs or late-inning dramatics. But the cool thing is what happens to a guy like Sandy, who you might hear say 5 words in a season, and then you see him come around second base and around third base, and just the emotion pouring out, and that competitiveness that we all see and we know that it's in there. But for them to actually, with the nonverbals, to show that, I mean, as a coach, how cool is that to see, to know, how self-reliant and quiet and maybe independent some of these guys are, to see all that emotion come pouring out of them. Yeah,
it's why you do what you do. I mean, I love that part of it. I tell our guys that all the time. I rewind and watch each guy's reaction to big moments in the game, because everybody's a little bit different. But Sandy, what a swing in that spot, and also just him, who he's meant to us in our lineup this year and last. I mean, as a sophomore, he's been a mainstay and driven in some big runs for us, and that's really the first time we've seen him use that right field bullpen that can get kind of friendly over there in that ballpark. I said, hey man, that may be more available for you than you realize. But just seeing him kind of float around the bases and toss the helmet up in the air and just get absolutely doused with the Gatorade. That's fun. I mean, those are experiences that, like you said, these guys will remember for the rest of their lives.
I'm lucky enough to be around the team enough to get that personality that maybe our fans don't. And Case is a shy guy. He's a hard guy to break out of his shell. But baseball means a heck of a lot to him, and you know that. But when you see a guy like that have a moment like that, as we talk about how that is for a coach, but tell us a little bit about Case behind the scenes. And our fans may not get the close interaction that we get the privilege of getting with him. He's not the most vocal guy with the media, but when you see Case, what is he like, and what type of joy is he to coach?
Yeah, he's very mature beyond his years, and that's really what allowed him as a true freshman last year to find his way into the lineup. He just wasn't going to get sped up. He's just one of those kids that is very kind of quietly confident, but that quiet confidence comes from a lot of hard work, and he's a guy that has been over at the Alex Gordon hitting facility as much as anybody in our program for the last 2 years. And the guys that hit the most. That's what the saying is. And So he's a really hard worker. He's a man of extreme faith, Christian faith, and does a lot for the community, and just a wonderful young man. And so you love to see success for guys that really work hard and put the team before themselves, because that's what Sandy's done. I mean, we saw him as a freshman last year. Played left field, right field, DH'd, played a little bit of first base. Went off and had an awesome summer in the Northwoods League. He was an all-star up there, and has really done nothing but hit since he's been here. So just a rock-solid guy, guy that I think any one of his teammates would call upon if they ever needed something, because Sandy would be there in a heartbeat. And he's been a mainstay on our lineup for 2 years, and battled a little bit of a back, not an injury, but just some of that stuff going on early in the season. I think as the weather's warmed up, he started feeling a lot better, bat moving a lot faster. We feel like his best baseball, hopefully for this year and for next, is just still in front of him.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. We're going to step aside with another break with Coach, but come on back. We have more after the break.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Osborne, former football coach and co-founder of the Teammates Mentoring Program.
And I'm Des Moines Adams, Husker black shirt and CEO of Teammates Mentoring.
We're recruiting Teammates mentors and need caring adults to be in the lives of our students.
Meeting with a student once a week at the school can make a positive impact in their life and have a ripple effect in our communities.
Please join our team.
Go to teammates.org today.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraska soybeans power everyday products, from Goodyear tires and Skechers shoes to soy-based turf and fire suppressants. These innovations replace petroleum and utilize other components of the soybean, leading to more sustainable products worldwide.
I'm Doug Sadoff, a farmer near Trumbull, Nebraska. Thanks to cutting-edge research, soybeans are now in everything from tires to turf. It's amazing to see how these advancements are unlocking new potential for our crops.
Soybeans are a win for every product and everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing for everyone. A great time to buy.
Now everyone pays what we pay.
On Ford trucks.
So you can tow what we tow.
SUVs.
Carpool like we carpool.
And Bronco Sport.
Off-road like we off-road. But what about my parking spot?
It's just employee pricing, not parking.
What a relief. I love that parking spot.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Oh, should I make name tags for everyone?
It's employee pricing for everyone. They don't actually work here.
Can I still make them?
Sure.
Available on the purchase or lease of select new 2024 and 2025 Ford and Lincoln vehicles. U.S. residents only. Prior purchases and AXZD plan ineligible. Place a retail order or take delivery from an authorized Ford or Lincoln dealer stock by 7/7/25. Exclusions apply. See a participating dealer for details.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of items you use every day. Hy-Vee dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. This is the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Ben McLaughlin joined by Nebraska head baseball coach Will Bolt. We've talked about Friday. We've talked about Saturday. One thing we haven't talked about before we get into Sunday is everything that comes with the last weekend of the year. With that is Senior Day. It's hard to imagine a Senior Day that, one, had as many seniors as we've had this year, but then thinking back to the careers that each one of those guys has had and the big moments they've had as Huskers, some pretty profound moments and profound careers in this year's group.
Yeah, 11, I believe, in that group that we honored on Saturday, and 2 Senior Days in a row. 2 years in a row we've had a walk-off home run on Senior Day, so going to be hard to top that one next year. But yeah, just a lot of guys that have done a lot of different things, worn a lot of different hats for us in our program, and a handful of them for 4 years with us in kind of our first full recruiting class. Swanson, Brockett, and Christo, and maybe I'm probably inadvertently leaving a couple of guys out, but you know, those guys being with us for the entirety of their careers, and you know, just being just huge parts of our success, and really, and kind of, I said this in front of the group at practice the other day, but not just the success of wins and losses, but the culture piece of it, the piece that is just so overlooked when it comes to, you know, just establishing a culture, how the older guys treat the younger guys, and passing those things down. And that's how great culture is created, is when you have guys that treat each other with respect, you know, the older guys to the younger guys, and when they get to that point that they pass it along as well. Will Walsh, how can I forget about Will Walsh? He's with us for 5 years, but yeah, those guys have all been big parts of that, and awesome in the classroom, community, great human beings, and each of them have had huge moments. I mean, if you think about it, Will Walsh's Big Ten tournament moments, and him being a two-way guy for us, and you know, just Brockett's no-hitter, and Christo, you know, just taking the ball last year a couple different times in the tournament, and having huge performances and some of those things. So, you know, just all of them. They've all been really, Gabe Swanson in the tournament, massive, and all those junior college guys that have come in, those transfers, have done a tremendous job in our program.
Well, and Coach, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the big festivities of Sunday as well, which is Mother's Day. Obviously, seeing the moms throughout the first pitch. Silva's mom comes to mind. I know they made the trip all the way down from Canada to College Park at the Maryland series to see Riley play. I think I've seen Swanson's parents at pretty much every weekend series. Overbeek's folks are there quite a bit. I mean, the commitment that these parents have from not just out of Nebraska, but from all over the country to see their kids play, and how much this time means in their lives, has to be pretty special to watch also.
Oh, no question. And obviously the moms are the glue that hold the family together. And just seeing the moment that those guys are able to have with their moms on Mother's Day, and then throwing out the first pitch and giving the roses to their mom. I mean, that's a special moment that you talk about a walk-off home run being something that you'll never forget. I mean, that moment as well, you know, not just for the guys on our team, but especially their moms, who have sacrificed so much for each and every one of those young men, and gotten them to their games probably from the time they were 6 or 7 years old. And I know my wife Lauren was actually on the road up in Sioux Falls over the weekend, you know, for my son Austin's baseball tournament. So she was certainly, you know, making sacrifices there as well. So yeah, just really really awesome to see, all those families there and our guys kind of having that moment with their moms.
Yeah, the wives, they're in a special club because, you're gone all the time. And my wife certainly knows I'm gone all the time. Nick's wife, Amy Sharp, she certainly knew it. You have to have a wife that kind of gets it to understand what we do because we are gone a heck of a lot.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's a lot of things that would never get done if not for the wives in our households. They're picking us up and picking up the slack because there's certainly plenty of it to be had whenever baseball season's going on.
Well, let's talk about one of those guys, and that's Jackson Brockett. And I'm so proud of Jackson for the way he's just competed this year. Thinking all the way back to the start that he had against Grand Canyon this year, a lot of expectation around him. And I think for the first time maybe in his career, Coach, he's had his name circled and had attention on himself because of the way not only he pitched against K-State on that magical night, but against Penn State in the Big Ten championship game. He was finally somebody that people had expectation for. And I think for the most part, he's just competed his tail off for you on Sundays.
He has. He's been our most consistent starter all year long. And I can really only think of a couple of times where maybe he just didn't have it or, wasn't quite as competitive as he needed to be. He's been very, very consistent. Know what you're going to get from him. That's what you want in a Sunday starter. And pitched around a lot of traffic, and really it's interesting how well he's pitched for us with the amount of traffic that he's had, and not striking a ton of guys out just tells me that his ability to navigate a game and to stay in the fight and just to compete is exactly where it needs to be, and it's a pretty awesome thing to see. Again, a young man coming to your program as a freshman. The talent's always been there, mindset and mentality. Again, that's really what the separator is at this level. And to see Jax grow into the young man that he's grown into on and off the field, and really as a competitor on the mound has been a joy to be a part of.
You think about guys like Christo and Walsh and Brockett and Swanson and all these guys that have been around the block a time or 3 or 4 or 5 if you're Will Walsh. They've been around a long time. For guys into newcomers into the program like a Hogan Haligso, for example, his Husker moments aren't going to be as plentiful, but that doesn't mean they're not quite as meaningful. He had maybe his coolest Husker moment this weekend, hitting a home run. You pointed out to me specifically on Friday how well he caught on Friday, and I know how much it means to him to put the N on his chest and on his forehead with the hat every time he's playing. I know he probably would love to have been, maybe batting 100 points better this year, have a couple more home runs, but that doesn't mean this season has been less impactful for Hogan. I know he's fought through some little nagging things physically as well, but talk a little bit about Hogan and, what this year has meant to him.
Yeah, well, he had obviously a massive at-bat there in the 5th inning of senior day on Saturday. I believe it was a 12-pitch at-bat, and we really hadn't much going on. It was 2 outs, 3-2 count, and just snuck one inside the foul pole there with an amazing swing of the bat, and really sparked us, got the crowd going a little bit, and those type of things. And he's battled a ton of just nagging things, and it's not too uncommon for a catcher to get dinged up throughout the year, but he's had several different things that have kind of held him back at times physically. Hamstring early in the season. He's dealt with an ankle, the wrist and the hand and some of that stuff that has kind of come and gone since the fall. But I feel like he's swung the bat I think, honestly, he's hit a lot more balls hard with no credit for it than maybe anybody on our team. There haven't really been a whole lot of cheap ones in there for him. Balls that drop in and whatnot, and he's hit a ton of balls right on the screws. And I feel like here of late especially, he's swung the bat well and done a really nice job, driving in some runs and some of those things. But yeah, he's done really well, specifically of late as well, just behind the dish with our starters. And I think he's been, a big part of the growth of some of these guys that we've seen.
We'll step aside with our final break. We got plenty more from Coach Bolt. One more segment left before saying goodbye to him and continue on with the rest of Sports Nightly. So come on back after the timeout.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Last segment with Coach Bolt. I'm Ben McLaughlin. Coach, I think we talked about this maybe before Friday's game, that kind of that sense of urgency that tends to happen this time of year, and certainly, you know, with the last regular season weekend of the year, that's going to be the case. But also with that, you know, a lot of these guys have finished school or are about to finish school, and their main focus is on, you know, executing an at-bat or defensive play. Just this time of year, when that calendar flips to May, particularly the second week of May, it kind of feels like postseason baseball is already here upon us. Yeah, when you know the weather starts to turn warmer and the days are longer with the sun staying out longer, yeah, it feels like postseason's right around the corner. And yeah, these guys they're taking finals this week, and all of them. Some of them have been done for a week or so, but all of them will be done by the time we get on the plane on Wednesday to go to West Lafayette. And best time of the year as a student athlete, where you really just become an athlete and don't have to, you know, get stretched too thin with some of those things with tutors and, you know, projects and, you know, night classes and some of those things. You just get to focus on baseball. So, yeah, it's a fun time of year, and you know, we're excited to see where it takes us. The other thing that comes with this part of the year, specifically the last weekend, is a process that bumps everything up a day, and this obviously affects starting pitching maybe more so than anybody else. Certainly with Tucker, you know, throwing maybe the most he has all year, and other guys that have had maybe more wear and tear throughout the year. How do you feel about, you know, cutting a day rest off of these guys at this point in time, and, you know, trust on their nutrition and work with Tanner Fowler to make sure that their bodies are in tip-top shape? Yeah, that's just kind of part of it, and quite honestly, most of the other conferences, all the other conferences, they kind of schedule some Thursday games for TV and some of those things, so they're dealing with that stuff all the time, and so you know we're well equipped with all the resources that we have, like you said, with our training staff, nutrition, you know, weight training and mobility training and all those things. They're going to be ready to go. And you know, this time of year, like I said, I mean, it's the weather's warm, everything's on the line. These guys will be ready to bounce back and you know, give us, you know, their best shot on the weekend. And the thing about it is everybody's in that same boat, right? It's not like we're the only ones having to short rest guys, or maybe potentially throw them on different days. You know, you could keep them on similar rest, at least a couple of them, I guess, on the weekend. But you know, you just
everybody's dealing with it, and then you're fighting to get into that tournament where you're going to have to turn around and have somebody throw potentially on short rest again, maybe by a couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, Nebraska's not the only team that has the intensity ratcheted up. The other dugout has postseason implications on them as well. I mean, they have to win this weekend, like so many other teams in the conferences do. I just feel like that just naturally, progressively bumps up the intensity and the focus and everything required to win a baseball game this week.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and Purdue has everything to play for in those terms. I mean, they need to get all the wins they can to give themselves a shot to get in the tournament, as do we, and can't take anything for granted. We got to just really what we set out to do about a month and a half ago, once we kind of got behind the 8 ball in the standings, just say, let's just do our best to win every weekend. And when you do that, if you set out to win every weekend at the start of the year, you got a chance to be a conference champion at the end of the year. But once we kind of got behind with a slow start in league play, that didn't really change our mindset, but we just reminded the guys of like, hey, look, 2 out of 3 every weekend will give us a shot to continue to climb in these standings and give us a shot to go defend our championship in Omaha.
Well, offensively, you knew you were running up against a tough staff this week in Michigan, and they proved to be the case with some really good arms. I would expect more of the same this year. You guys have seen some good arms, really all year. What's going to be the focus when you get out to Alexander Field on Wednesday night for a warm-up and preparation from the Boilermaker pitching staff?
Yeah, so I don't really know exactly how the field sets up orientation-wise. I'll have to dig into that a little bit just in terms of wind patterns and how the ballpark's going to play. I do know it's a bigger ballpark, and the ball doesn't fly out of there necessarily. So, again, we're going to have to really be focused on hard line drives that, can turn into doubles and home runs that way and less fly balls, because that's kind of been really, honestly, for probably the last couple of weekends, we probably hit a few too many just fly balls, talking 30-plus degree launch angles that if the wind is not howling out for you, that those balls don't really play all that well. So, again, just trying to piece together the best lineup we can as well, knowing that Max Butenbeck is probably still, going to be unavailable to play this weekend. And, Stoney, we'll see how he's feeling. Sounds like it's not a break in there in his hand, but it's something that's still going to be nagging him. So I'm going to need some guys to step up and really, give us a chance to not have to be perfect with our defense and pitching, so we can get some crooked numbers in there and play from ahead.
How have you liked the way Riley Silva has stepped in with some of those injuries? Yeah,
and Riley is a guy that, he's just always been on base, and what we're seeing him do now is collect a few more hits. And when you draw the walks and get hit by pitch and you're getting hits, now you're on base. We're talking 3 or 4 times a game, and you also have a chance to drive in some runs as well. When you're collecting those base hits. So he's done a really nice job. Moved him back to the leadoff spot. I think he's been on base 5 times in the last 2 games, and sparked some rallies for us. And really good player, obviously, and has done a nice job in center field for 2 years.
Coach, we appreciate it. Have a safe trip out to West Lafayette. We'll see you out there at Alexander Field. Congrats on another successful weekend, and let's go get after it this week.
All right, Ben. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Coach Bolt with us here on the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. That's going to do it for us. Coming up next, Jessica Coody in Hour 2 of Sports Nightly. Stay with us.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing for everyone. A great time to buy.
Now everyone pays what we pay.
On Ford trucks.
So you can tow what we tow.
SUVs.
Carpool like we carpool.
And Bronco Sport.
Off-road like we off-road. But what about my parking spot?
It's just employee pricing, not parking.
What a relief. I love that parking spot.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Oh, should I make name tags for everyone?
It's employee pricing for everyone. They don't actually work here.
Can I still make them?
Sure.
Available on the purchase or lease of select new 2024 and 2025 Ford and Lincoln vehicles. U.S. residents only. Prior purchases and AXZD plan ineligible. Place a retail order or take delivery from an authorized Ford or Lincoln dealer stock by 7/7/25. Exclusions apply. See a participating dealer for details.
Good evening, I'm Duke Root, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. The number 19 Nebraska softball team will head to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the Baton Rouge NCAA Regional and will play the Yukon Huskies on Friday, May 16th at 2 p.m. Central. The game will be streamed on ESPN Plus and can be heard right here on the Huskers Radio Network. A Nebraska native with long successful history as a professional player, Marissa Kastanek, will join the Nebraska women's basketball program as a graduate assistant manager for the 2025-26 season. Kastanek produced an impressive 12-year professional career in Poland, the Czech Republic, Sweden, and Puerto Rico, following a decorated college career at NC State. She graduated from Lincoln Southeast High School in 2009. The NBA draft lottery was held tonight, and the Dallas Mavericks were awarded the number 1 pick in the draft. After trading Luka Doncic, the Mavericks are set to get their future face of the franchise, and all signs point to Cooper Flagg from Duke being that piece. The Spurs will have the 2nd pick, and the 76ers will pick 3rd. 2 playoff games in the NBA tonight, the Knicks versus the Celtics, and the Warriors hosting the Timberwolves. Our sports ticker is brought to you by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Call a timeout. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is there. Call, text, or chat 988. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Coming up next is Hour 2 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
The next one. Fastball chopped to third. Overbeat grabs it. Steps on the bag for one. The long throw across the diamond. Double play. Inning over. And Nebraska's lead holds at 3-2.
That would be Cale Frost representing the winning run. This ball's turned on into right field. This one's got a shot. Case Sanderson walks it off. Nebraska wins it on a 3-run bomb by Case Sanderson. And the Huskers win the series.
Now Volpe's 3-2. Squire swings and hammers this one. Right field and deep. Brunson going back, and it's off the base of the wall. DiNardo scores. Hannah Camenson scores. Squire trying for third. She slides in there safely. A 2-run triple to right field for Squire, and Nebraska with a 3-1 lead in the bottom of the first.
Now, here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
And hi, everyone. Happy Monday to you. Welcome back into Sports Nightly. Appreciate Coach Bolt and Ben handling the first hour for the Nebraska baseball show. We've got a big hour coming up this hour, as we talked about all last week, even during the Big Ten tournament for Nebraska softball, that they were going to be headed to the postseason. We know that destination, as you just heard Duke say, headed to LSU. We will dive into that matchup. We will also hear it's time for another check-in with the president, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, coming up here this hour as well. But before we get too far away from the baseball show, I did want to give a shout out to the folks that texted in on the trivia question. It was name a Husker that's hit 3 home runs in a game, and we had a few folks text in Samantha Bland, and that was also a correct answer. So shout out to those folks paying attention there and knowing their softball stats as well this season. And they've going to be looking to get all those bats going here coming up this weekend. So it's pretty crazy. I thought it was a great draw. You know, it was going into it this weekend or this Sunday. You know, a lot of times you can maybe project a little bit, but there was a lot of craziness, a lot of different projections that were going around going into it this time of year, and not just for Nebraska, but across college softball. I think a lot of unknown going into this time around what the committee was going to do, and 7 of the top 8 seeds are going to SEC teams. I guess not too surprising there. We knew there was going to be a lot of SEC teams in that top 10, but one of the SEC teams that got a host in the top 16 was LSU. And, you know, going into it, a lot of the speculation would be that maybe Nebraska was headed to Oklahoma, maybe Texas, and I even had heard Texas A&M. And so Arkansas, all of those teams, top 8 seeds. So I think this is a pretty solid draw for Nebraska, going to the 10 seed LSU. And maybe a lot of the softball folks have been diving into it over the last few hours, and a lot of the softball analysts that really pay attention from coast to coast, beginning of the season to now, said that it's probably the toughest regional in terms of LSU getting a really tough draw. And we've been saying it here for the last several weeks, but hearing a lot of the folks on the national level saying that nobody wanted to see Nebraska pop up as that 2 seed. LSU was the one that got that. So, but first, before Nebraska can face LSU, they got to take care of UConn, the Big East champions, Big East tournament champions. They won 18-4 over Creighton in the Big East tournament finals. So it is going to be UConn and Nebraska in that first matchup, 2 o'clock on Friday, and then it will be LSU and Southeastern Louisiana, which a lot of folks are saying that was a team. So Southeast Louisiana is the 4 seed, and that is probably a little low for them. Maybe they should have been a 3 seed going into this one. So just overall a tough regional, but one that Nebraska can absolutely win and advance. And if they did, they would have the potential to match up with Tennessee in the Supers, a team that Nebraska has already beat this season. So I think it was, you got to beat everybody. Everybody's good at this time around, but I think it was one of the more favorable draws that Nebraska could get in this postseason tournament going to LSU. So it'll also be fascinating to see what they decide to do with the pitching and the game plan there. And when do you throw Jordy right out of the gate? Do you, maybe try to send somebody else out there? We're going to dive into this all throughout this week. And as it gets closer to the matchup, we'll chat with Nate Rohr as he heads down. He'll head down with the team and call for the action for us all weekend long. But a lot of this is about chess now. And that was another thing that they were, some of those analysts I was listening to were talking about with LSU having a tough first round game too, is that they might not be able to save their ace, because you want to win that first game. That's a big advantage to win that first game. So, hey, we'll see. A lot of chess going to be played this time around, but I think Nebraska has got a good shot, and they started to put together some of their best softball here at the end of the season. And as you're going to hear Coach Ravel say here in a little bit, they still got a lot left to go, a lot left in the tank that they still have not even reached their best softball yet. So hopefully they can put it all together coming up this weekend and maybe advance in the NCAA tournament. So yesterday had the Selection Sunday show. It was a lot of fun to see, just the reaction of the team throughout the entire. They were one of the, as you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so you had to wait till 10, the 10th regional, to hear their name called. And so it was pretty fun watching the reaction with each team that called, that it wasn't them where they thought they might go. It's every team, it never gets old. It's always fun, whether it's, you watching volleyball, gymnastics, the women's basketball team this year. It's always a fun time when you're sitting there watching and waiting for Nebraska, where you're going to go, who you're going to match up with. So yesterday, after the announcement that Nebraska wasn't in fact in the postseason, headed to LSU, I had a chance to catch up with the head coach, Rhonda Ravel. All right, Rhonda Ravel, you've been through this a time or two. How did it feel to go through it with this group today? Does it ever get old seeing Nebraska in that bracket?
No, it never gets old. It was actually nice coming, thinking that we were going to see our name. There have been years where, will we see our name? But, I sat back intentionally because I just want to watch them. And we've been trending in a really good direction. And we've always been talented, but they've come together and they've learned how to play together. And then they've just learned about each other so much. So every week I just feel like we've gelled a little bit more. So I wanted to just sit back and watch the reaction. What I appreciated so much is they were excited, but it was like a confident excitement. Like, okay, let's roll up our sleeves. Let's go to work. We've got more to do. We get to spend more time together.
I was talking to Olivia DiNardo earlier. She said, I'm just so excited for the young players that have not been through it to get to experience it. That's special, too, that you've got older veterans that are just so excited to see your young players that haven't gotten to experience this get to go through it for the first time.
That's a really good point. I'm glad she brought that up. I think one of the people that I'm really excited for, too, I talked about a lot of their transfers have been on this stage before. Many, like Ava Bredwell, in her 4 years, this is her third time, but Ava Kusek, it's her first. So it's going to be really special for her. I remember I was talking to her one day, and I was talking something about postseason. She goes, Coach, I haven't been to postseason. I'm like, oh, okay. It'll be really fun.
Wow. This team has been wire to wire ranked in the top 25. There's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressure that comes along with that. How has this team been able to handle it throughout to be able to still put themselves in this position here today, from start to finish?
I think the good thing from tip to tail, is that you sort of just normalize it as the weeks go on. You don't really think about it. When we first got ranked in preseason, it's like, oh, this is cool. And then as the weeks went on, you just kind of forgot about it.
Well, the draw overall, I know you guys got to beat anybody, right, and everybody, but how did you feel when you saw the LSU and then just the overall, what's ahead here this week?
Well, we've been there once before, so it's a really great environment. And you want to play in a really great environment. I mean, the Cajuns get after it. So have a lot of respect for Coach Serena and what she does with her program. They're really, really good. They pitch well. They hit well. They run well. But I also like who we are, and I like what we do in all those areas of the game, too. Now, with that said, there's two other teams that are really good, and UConn's coming off a big East championship where they beat Creighton yesterday, and so they're riding high. I think that might have been their first Big East championship for conference. It's just good. I think you get to this time of the season and anything can happen. It's going to be exciting. I just want to make sure that our players trust their preparation. I mean, they have literally been so intentionally preparing for this since July. They came back together as a team in July, and all the transfers transferred in early and went to work. And so I just want them to know that you've been putting the hay in the barn day after day after day. And so just reap what you sow, enjoy it, trust your preparation, and let yourself play.
I was going to say, health-wise, how is this group going into the postseason?
Yeah, are you talking about the coaching staff? No. The players they're good. I mean, everybody's tired this time of year, but here is a funny story. 10 years ago, we went to Baton Rouge. At the end of the season, I had a hip surgery to repair a labrum. At the end of this season, I'm having a hip replacement on that same hip. So there's something about LSU and hips. I don't know.
Well, at least you're going to get taken care of, I guess. Jordy Ball getting named Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year. And I know a lot of people, it's been a big narrative all year long, just the way she's played, but also her leadership, just the belief she instills in this group. How impressive has her season been in all phases of what she's done for Nebraska softball?
Yeah, it really, like when we talked about starting in June and July, it started in the weight room. And she leads us in the weight room, too. I mean, she gets after it. I remember Coach Cook texted me one day and said, man, your team is getting after it in the weight room. It's really led by Jordy. And so, when your best player is the hardest worker all the time, and she has one motor and one gear, but she's also one of the very best teammates. And so that's just great. I mean, she's full of humility. I love that about her. She's full of grace. She'll give all of her time to little kids. I love that about her. She's full of fire and competitiveness. I love that about her. But yet she'll also pull away and reflect. And, I might get a random text like she's been reflecting about something because she's always thinking about how can I be better in whatever she's trying to be better at. And she's a really good teammate. And I think that, when she won those awards, the genuineness from her teammates, that it was very genuine because the thing is that all she wants to do is get back to the team.
Well, you and your staff have done this a time or two. What goes into this week in preparation? Coach Sipple said you probably wouldn't sleep tonight anyways, but how do you get this group ready with the preparation on the staff side?
Well, Nebraska popped up and Sipple goes, do I still need to be here or can I go to the office? I'm like, you can go to the office. It was really weird the last 2 days. We haven't had anybody to scout. I mean, I was binge watching some Netflix. It was one of the things. We were on a flight and Sipple goes, hey, you might want to watch this. So it's The Residence, pretty good. And so now I can go to work. I can just start scouting, and we're going to practice, of course, and get ready for the teams that we may face this weekend.
I know you guys were disappointed with the UCLA loss, but Abby said that you guys took a lot away from that and learned a lot in that loss. How ready do you feel like this team is to put it all together? We talked to you about 3 weeks ago. You said there's a lot left in the tank. How close is this team to starting to put it together when it really matters?
Yeah, Jess, I still think our best softball is ahead of us. I thought that, we started slow against UCLA. I thought Caitlin Terry was throwing the lights out. She was from the left side, and she kind of hid the ball, and we haven't seen her. I think that if we would have played her early in the season, that would have been helpful. We played UCLA, but not her. So the second half of the game, I felt like we were a different offense than the first half. It was kind of the tale of two different offenses. So I wish we would have had a few more innings, but yet we grew in confidence. And, of course, I was over at third base, but Diane's like, man, Rhonda, you should have heard the hitters. Like, they were on it. They were changing their plan. They were seeing things. And that's growth. Like, we may not get the result right then, but that was growth. So, like I told them at the end of the game, let's not take this as a loss. Let's take this as a learn. I felt like we learned a lot that game.
All right, how helpful is it that even though, this is a group maybe doing it for the first time together, a lot of these players, but they have been on this stage. They do know what it takes, a lot of them.
A lot of them. It's huge. You can't buy experience. You can only have experience, and we have a lot of players that have a lot of experience, including some of the Huskers, like Ava Bredwell, right? Third regional, and she caught in all of them. So, but yeah, you've got the Camazins and Hoffman from Arkansas who've played at a really high level. You've got DiNardo that was at Arizona, and of course you got Jordy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so, and you've also been part of teams that have made it to the pinnacle in Oklahoma City. What does it take to just this first step here to start putting some special things together?
Yeah, it takes just really a mindset of being so in the moment and not getting too far ahead. I mean, you can think about that and you can hope for it and plan for it and dream about it, but you've got to be so in the moment, and it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, that you're never out of it. As long as you have a strike to give, you're never out of it.
Best of luck to you this week.
Thanks.
One of my faves right there. Congratulations to Rhonda Revelle. You heard us talking about Jordy Ball. That was, we joked a lot about it last week. We haven't been on the air since, but Jordy does win Player and Pitcher of the Year in the Big Ten Conference, the first player to do so. Didn't know if they would, end up voting for both, and they did the right thing. Jordy absolutely deserved both of those honors. And, we talk so much about what she does on the field and in the circle, at the plate, playing defense, but so many of the players that I've been able to chat with in interviews, they've talked about her leadership and how great of a teammate, as you just heard Coach Revelle just say there, but also the sense of belief and confidence that she instills in this group. So as much as we are wowed by the stats and what she does as a player, I think as a leader, as just a teammate, has been pretty close to equally as important for this group as well. So very much deserving. I'm glad, the guys in the chat did not have to get their riot gear out to, riot for her if she did not win both, but she ends up winning both. And now it's, where will she wind up in the National Player of the Year conversation? I'm told the voting has changed this year. It is not going to be at the end of the postseason. So I'll have to get the specifics on that, but there's no doubt that she's in that conversation as well to be one of the best players nationally as well in the National Player of the Year. So we'll see how those finalists shake out as well. I wish, just because with the Big Ten, and she would have had an opportunity if I think the voting has to be in before the postseason starts this time around. I wish she would have had one more weekend with a stage like a regional tournament to be able to really show the nation that haven't seen her what all she can do. People know what she can do in the circle. People have seen that at Oklahoma. She won National Player of the Year before because of what she's done in the circle. But not everybody's had a chance to see probably what she's done at the plate, other than maybe looking at the stats. And so I wish maybe she had one more weekend. But either way, she's done enough to solidify herself in that conversation as well, and very deserving of that as well. All right, we're going to keep talking softball. On the other side of this, we're going to talk to one of the captains, Abby Squire, one of the seniors that has been one of the players that has been to the postseason, as Coach Revelle just talked about, with this Nebraska program. So she's got a good perspective there, also a big part of the lineup. So we're going to hear from Abby Squire on the other side of this as we continue to preview the NCAA tournament for Nebraska softball. Hey, Husker, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they've lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Your next vehicle is waiting for you at Woodhouse. With over 20 locations and a variety of brands, Woodhouse offers everything from reliable trucks to family-friendly SUVs. Whether you're looking for a Nissan, Mazda, or Infiniti, our team is here to help you find the perfect fit. Enjoy a seamless car buying experience with our expert staff and exceptional service. Visit Woodhouse today, where quality, selection, and customer satisfaction come first. Or get started online at woodhouse.com.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing across a full lineup.
Fun fact, Hank, Ford assembles the most vehicles in the country.
Another fun fact, everyone pays what we pay.
So, you get employee pricing. You get employee pricing. You get employee pricing.
Sam.
Yeah?
Everyone gets employee pricing.
You get employee pricing.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody. We gave Nick Hanley the day off today. He had a busy weekend. He was calling baseball solo over the weekend, so Ben stepped in for the baseball show, and but Nick should be back tomorrow for us here on Sports Nightly. But we continue talking. The softball team headed to the postseason, punching their ticket. They'll head down to LSU. LSU received the 10 seed, and it's funny. We're seeing a lot of people saying calling Baton Rouge. I think Nate Rohr even tweeted that. I had a couple folks text me that, and I have had that song stuck in my head for 24 hours, the Garth Brooks song, and which he sang while he was here in Memorial Stadium, which is one of my favorite concerts I've ever been to. We've heard Troy say going to look into bringing more concerts to Memorial Stadium in the future, so that'd be fun. We talked to a guy over the weekend from Virginia Tech that was telling us about the Metallica concert. They had Metallica there at the Virginia Tech Stadium, and they had over 60,000 fans, and I guess they registered an earthquake with how loud it got when they played their legendary, their intro song that Metallica plays. What is it? Yeah. Sandman. Don't get mad at me that I didn't know that, Metallica fans. Anyways, but that's always an interesting conversation. Who's going to be the maybe the next musical act we will see here in this stadium as we talk that revenue generation, which is always a big thing. But the Garth Brooks concert went over well, so That was a fun concert. That was my first event that I went to inside Memorial Stadium. That was epic. So, all right, let's hear from the captain, Abby Squire, and her reaction to Nebraska's name being called in the postseason, headed down to LSU. How did that feel? See Nebraska pop back up on that screen in the postseason?
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, there were a lot of nerves. Like every school that came up, we were like, oh, are we going here? We really didn't know where we were going to end up. So, yeah, a lot of emotions, and yeah, we're excited.
How fun is it to share? You've gotten to experience this before, but some of those players that have not gotten to go through this before, to get to share that with them.
Yeah, last year we didn't get called, and so all year, I mean, that's been a goal of ours to get called to postseason, and then like to have all these girls from Nebraska back here. I know it's extra special for them to be able to represent Nebraska in the postseason.
How nice did it feel going into today, knowing that you guys took care of business, to know that you were going to be in the field this time?
Yeah, it was great. I know a few years ago when we won the Big Ten tournament, that was something that we had the luxury of. But yeah, we were very confident today that we were going to get called, so that was awesome.
I know you guys fell short of what the goal was at Purdue in the Big Ten tournament, but how do you feel about where this team is at going into the postseason, kind of maybe playing your best softball?
Yeah, that game, when we lost at the Big Ten tournament, we really talked about how that game was important, and it's something that we don't have to be down about. It's something that we can really learn from. Yeah, and I think we can create some momentum, and I mean, UCLA is a great team, and so having them to see their pitching before we go into the NCAA tournament was great. And yeah, I think we're all really confident in where we're sitting right now.
All right, so as one of the leaders that have been through this before, what are the next steps? What goes into this week to be ready to go when you guys head down to LSU?
Lots of film to watch. I know Coach Miller is going to be on that, getting us prepared. But yeah, I think also physically just taking care of our bodies this week. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just taking it, enjoying it. But yeah, we'll be ready. We'll be prepared. I trust our coaches and our team to be prepared to go down there.
What is the belief and just confidence in this group to maybe put together a special run this time of year?
I think if you felt just the energy in there, you can just tell I love this group. It's one of my favorites that I've been a part of. So, yeah, we trust each other. We're going to lay it out on the line, and it's going to be special.
What's the key to kind of putting it all together this time of year? I mean, we've seen you guys be hot at the plate. We've seen the great pitching, but to put it all together for several games in a row, what goes into that?
I really just think it's staying one pitch at a time and staying present. I think as soon as you look to the future, look to the past too much, you can, I don't know, just get ahead of yourself. So I think right now it's just staying one pitch at a time, one base runner, get on base, get one out, that type of mentality, and that's going to carry us through.
Take us through, just you said each school, or could we go here, could we go here? What is that nerves like? What is that emotion like, just waiting for the name to be called?
There was so many projections out on Twitter, and so we were kind of looking like, oh, this person thinks we'll go here. So yeah, there were a few schools that popped up, and we were like, oh, we're gonna go, and then we didn't. So yeah, I don't know, like you said, it was great to know that we would go at some point, but yeah, all of us were like, oh, my heart rate's up.
So when you see it pop up, and I know you got to take care of business in the first game before you maybe potentially play LSU, but that's the host team. What did you think about the draw and where you guys are headed?
I love it. I'm excited. I've never been down there, so I'm kind of excited to be down in that part of the country. But yeah, I think it's a good draw. I don't think our team was thinking too much about where we would go. We knew, I mean, at this time of the year, you're going to have to beat everybody, so we'll be ready and prepared.
You had said something earlier, but what is it about this group that's so special? Because every player that I talk to just goes on and on about how much they enjoy coming to the ballpark every day with this group. Why is that?
Oh, we have so many different personalities, and I think everyone just loves each other, and we expect the best out of each other. Yeah, we're just really tight, and I don't even know. We're just a different group, a lot different than any other group I've been a part of. But I love seeing them every day, even just around here studying and at training tables. So yeah, it's really fun to be a part of.
All right, as a senior, have you thought about going into it your last time? What's your approach? How are you going into this one?
I'm just going to take it all in, honestly. Like I said, I've never been down there, so I'm going to enjoy that. And then just enjoy every second we get on the field. And as long as we have a pitch left and out left, I know we're going to fight. So
great stuff. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So again, 2 o'clock on Friday, and then that LSU game versus Southeast Louisiana will be following the Huskers game. It's set for 4:30, but it will be however long after 30 minutes or whatever after the conclusion of the Nebraska game. And if you win there, and then it's a double elimination format, so there will be 3 games played on Saturday. So the winners will play that first game on Saturday. If you lose, then you would play the third game. And again, if you win, then you have to be beat twice on that Sunday. So they would have that if necessary game on Sunday. So important to get that first win on Friday, and then you don't have to play 2 on Saturday, or you get another shot at it if you do. So really important to get that first win. So we will, again, continue to dive into this matchup as the week unfolds, and we'll have Nate Rohr, the expert, on. I know he's doing all the prep work on UConn, who Nebraska will play first, and LSU, and even Southeast Louisiana. So again, all 4 teams down there. It's going to be a tough regional, but certainly one that Nebraska has a great shot of getting out of. So yeah, excited for this team, and also exciting too if you're a Husker fan to hear that, hey, this is still not a team that has played their very best softball, that there's still stuff to achieve. They could still continue to put more together. And I had a friend from Oklahoma that was texting me once they saw the draw, and just saying, was very obviously familiar with Jordy Ball and what she can do in the postseason, and said Jordy Ball can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. So you got 98 in the circle. You feel pretty good about it, especially this time of year. She thrives on this type of stage, and she's got a lot of help. And this is a special group. So I think they certainly have the potential to do something special this weekend, and it's going to be fun. And I think they got certainly a draw that they absolutely could win and get out of there and advance to supers. But more with talking to Nebraska softball as the week unfolds, as we get closer to that first pitch coming up on Friday. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. All right, coming up next, we've got another check-in. It's time for another check-in with the president, Dr. Jeffrey Gold, and we will have John Baylor sitting in for us for this one. So keep it here on Sports Nightly.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens.
I'm Jason Pinky, a farmer near Craig, Nebraska. Soybeans are vital for feeding our livestock, and they're also a powerhouse protein source for people worldwide. Our world needs protein, and Nebraska soybeans are making a difference.
From tailgate grills to global plates, farmers deliver affordable, nutritious protein to build muscle and energy for everyone. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear Truckin' Awesome. Want more horsepower in the stable? The Tundra iForce Max is the most powerful Tundra ever. With its electrifying twin-turbo V6, you got everything you need. Saddle up the Tacoma TRD Pro. Its segment-first performance seats are designed to smooth out the shocks when the ride gets bumpy. The Toyota 4Runner is part mean streak, part wild side, and an all-around icon. Check out that signature power rear window, will ya? Yes, sir, Toyota trucks. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Want to boost Nebraska's economy and help the planet? It's as easy as filling up your tank. Switch to soy-based biodiesel to cut greenhouse gases by up to 74% and support biodiesel growth.
I'm Greg Anderson, a farmer near Newman Grove, Nebraska, and biodiesel has transformed our farm. It cuts emissions, raises the cetane number, and improves fuel lubricity.
So ask for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, economy, and Nebraska soybean farmers. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
It's employee pricing with the Ford crew.
Employee pricing for everyone. A great time to buy.
Now everyone pays what we pay.
On Ford trucks.
So you can tow what we tow.
SUVs.
Carpool like we carpool.
And Bronco Sport.
Off-road like we off-road. But what about my parking spot?
It's just employee pricing, not parking.
What a relief. I love that parking spot.
Now get employee pricing available across a full lineup of Ford trucks and SUVs. Employee pricing, you pay what we pay. Only from your local Ford dealer.
Oh, should I make name tags for everyone?
It's employee pricing for everyone. They don't actually work here.
Can I still make them?
Sure.
Available on the purchase or lease of select new 2024 and 2025 Ford and Lincoln vehicles. U.S. residents only. Prior purchases and AXZD plan ineligible. Place a retail order or take delivery from an authorized Ford or Lincoln dealer stock by 7/7/25. Exclusions apply. See a participating dealer for details.
Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm John Baylor, sitting in just this segment because we have a terrific opportunity to talk with the president of the University of Nebraska System, Dr. Jeff Gold. And Dr. Gold, NFL draft just behind us. How important is it to see Huskers, former Huskers, have a chance, get drafted, and go to the National Football League?
Well, it's really a big deal because it's a marker of excellence of our athletic programs here at UNL. And, of course, it's not just the NFL draft, but it's all of our student athletes have aspirational goals to play professionally. I was just actually with one of our women's basketball players who was drafted into a European league, and she's going to play professionally there, at least for a period of time. And it's a great sense of pride for the students who want to do that. But, you know, it's part of a much bigger picture because all of our student athletes, and underscore the word student athletes, are very academically accomplished as well. A number of major academic All-American awards every year, which is a great sense of pride for me and for so many others. And so whether our students go on to play professionally, whether they go on to coaching jobs, which of course many of our student athletes have successfully done as well, or whether they go into business or law. I've actually spent time with a group called Husker Healers, which is a group of student athletes that want to go to medical school, nursing, pharmacy school, become a PA or some other field in the health professions. And they are, you know, just so disciplined in their athletic pursuits and also so disciplined in their academics that they're extremely successful. I just mentored a student who will be a first-year med student next year here at UNMC, and I'm really excited for him.
Dr. Gold, of course, you ran and were the head of UNMC for a long time. Project Health is one of the university's most ambitious efforts to address healthcare needs across Nebraska. What's the vision behind Project Health?
Sure. Well, Project Health is part of a three-phase project, better known as Project NEXT, N-E-X-T, standing for Nebraska Transformation. And it's broken into three different pieces, and the first and probably the most important piece we refer to as Project Health, which is short for Building the Healthiest Nebraska. And this relates to creating a new world-class academic health center facility on the Omaha campus that will allow us to increase workforce production in the health professions, provide better access to clinical trials for patients being treated for cancer and heart disease and stroke and Alzheimer's and so many other medical problems that confront Nebraskans and the rest of the country. and at the same time replace a very aging set of facilities that has become incredibly expensive to maintain. Now, what our audience may not know, it is the largest public-private partnership ever done in the university system. It is currently contemplated to be just under a $2.2 billion project with participation in the capital stack from the state, from the city of Omaha, a major investment by the private philanthropic community, indeed one of the largest, if not the largest, philanthropic project ever tried in the state of Nebraska, and of course investment by the healthcare system and investment by the university. But the biggest investment in all of this is in the future of the state of Nebraska, both rural and urban. You know, while the facility may be literally coming out of the ground, and there's, you know, drilling holes and pouring concrete literally as we speak today, the gain for that and the result of this state investment and the university's investment is going to be providing better health care access to the entire state of Nebraska through workforce, through clinical excellence, through building relationships with multiple rural critical access hospitals and community hospitals that will have a facility and the expertise in that facility to help them continue to grow and to deliver the highest quality of health care. You know, at the end of the day, we talk a lot about the farming and ranching communities and the importance of the ag sector. We get that. We talk a lot about the businesses and the manufacturing industries of the state. We get that also as well. But if there's not access to quality, reliable health care, all of that starts to crumble. So this is a really big deal for the future.
Visiting with President Gold, he runs the University of Nebraska system. State lawmakers right now are debating higher ed funding still this month. Dr. Gold, just remind us, what is the return on investment for every state dollar that goes into the University of Nebraska system, and what are you doing as you navigate this budget system, and what are the key priorities you're focused on?
Yeah, so when we finished the assessment done late last year, the entire return on investment was estimated to be just over $10 for every state dollar that's invested in us. And what that means is that if the state allocates $1 to us this year, they will have $10 in their coffers to allocate through their appropriations process next year. Multiply that out times a $700 million state investment. That's an awful lot of cash that the state will have to return on that investment. As a matter of fact, if you look at research, it's even more than that. The research return on investment is $16. That's because new companies get started, licenses are commercialized, and the intellectual property, whether it's in agriculture or whether it's in healthcare or so many other fields, engineering, turns into tremendous return on investment. But you asked how we're negotiating the process, and that really means working very closely with members of the unicameral legislature and working very closely with the governor's office. You know, I've said many, many times that our job, my job as the president of this great university system, is just to be sure that our legislators, all 49 of them, have timely, accurate information upon which to make decisions on, to be sure that they have trusted partnerships with us so they know that the information we're providing to them is accurate so they can make the very best decisions. And, you know, I fully understand when you're dealing with a constrained budget, you got to make hard decisions. We all know that in our households. We can't do everything we want to do. We can't, you know, give our kids unlimited credit cards and our grandkids unlimited credit cards. Not to say they wouldn't like it. I'm sure they have really big ideas and what they would do with it. But we have all learned that we have to live within our budgets. That's true for the university. I know it's true for the unicameral. And the governor and I share that exact same vision.
All right, the women's softball team has had a terrific season. Jordy Ball, when she takes the circle, Huskers have a chance against anybody in this country when playing softball. How do you see the impact of women's sports resonating, not just across the university, but across this entire state?
Women's sports across the university, across the state, across the country, and actually around the world are actually on the rise. And it's great to have Jordy back, and couldn't agree more. When she takes the circle, it's like lightning, and we just wish her the very best for the remainder of this season. You know, we recently broke a 2,699 not quite 2,700, one short. Maybe we could count again and see if we could break that record. But that is an absolute record for attendance, and I'm predicting that we'll continue to break records, particularly as the weather gets better and particularly as the team continues to succeed. But whether it's in volleyball, whether it's in basketball, whether it's in soccer, you just look across the nation at attendance, sellout attendance. There was recently a study done when the Nebraska volleyball team played away games. Many of those schools broke attendance records. And, it's great for them. It's great for us. It's great for these young ladies who are so competitive and, by the way, academically spectacular. But at the same time, I think it's really good for sports in this country. Not to say that I'm not a big fan of men's sports. Obviously, I am, and I love to attend these matches and games, whether they're on the gridiron or the hardwood or the track. But there are so many accomplished women athletes. To see them gain some of that spotlight and continue to grow is just heartwarming to me.
He's the president of the University of Nebraska System, Dr. Jeffrey Gold. Stay right there. I'm John Baylor. We'll have more Sports Nightly when we come right back.
In the game of life, we all step up to the plate. Sometimes it feels like we're facing a curveball with no clear path. Call, text, or chat 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's free, confidential, and staffed with trained counselors ready to listen and provide support. Don't wait for the ninth inning. Reach out, speak up, and let's strike out life's challenges together. Because we're more than players, we're a resilient community. Remember, in times of need, call a timeout. Call, text, or chat 988. It's okay to ask for help. We're here for you. Every swing, every slide. Play ball. Presented by Nebraska DHHS.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices.
I'm Ann Meese, a farmer near Elgin, Nebraska. I grew up on this land, and we're dedicated to being good stewards and leaving it better for the next generation.
Since 1980, U.S. soybean farmers have boosted production by 130%, all while lowering emissions and improving land and water use. Nebraska soybeans, feeding, fueling, and innovating for the future.
On game day, every play counts. Now imagine having the same level of control in your field. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Real-time, play-by-play control means you're always ahead of the game. Score big with simplified irrigation technology from Valley, improving your life both on and off the field. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.
Hey Huskers, stop by your local Hy-Vee where they have lowered prices on thousands of the items you use every day. Hy-Vee, dedicated to making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Final segment here left. Sports Nightly, I'm Jessica Coody, and here is What's on Tap, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. We've talked a lot about it. Softball in the NCAA Regional coming up on Friday with a 2 o'clock first pitch against UConn, and then take place Saturday and Sunday if they stay in and advance. Baseball at Purdue, they moved the series up like they always do here at the end of the season. So we'll be on the air Thursday, 5 o'clock, Friday, 5 o'clock, first pitch, Saturday, 1 o'clock. So the pregame show will start 30 minutes before that. So Thursday we'll be on the air at 4:30 with the 5 o'clock first pitch. And how about Nebraska track and field headed to the Big Ten Outdoor Championships coming up Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? The men look to defend their back-to-back outdoor titles. So a big weekend ahead for Husker sports. And also wanted to mention tomorrow, speaking of what's on tap, and again, that's brought to you by Michelob Ultra. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. We've had a lot of folks text in that love the Chasing 3 documentary that we saw from the Husker football team last year, wondering if it's coming back. And I have some good news for those folks that enjoy those behind-the-scenes looks at a program. If you've missed it on social media, Husker Volleyball is going to premiere their new series, which is a lot like that Chasing 3 type of feel, the behind-the-scenes of the program, documentary type, and again, will be a series that you'll be able to see throughout the season. It's called The Epicenter, and it is going to debut tomorrow night, so you can stay tuned for that. I'm told the first one is absolutely fantastic. I have not had a sneak peek yet, but I'm told that it is just incredible. So we'll look forward to that. Also, the NBA Draft Combine going on this week as well, as Bryce Williams looks to continue to maybe improve his draft stock. We heard so much from Coach Hoiberg throughout the year that he got a lot of attention from NBA scouts. We'll see if he can continue to maybe improve that stock and maybe hear his name called in the NBA draft. But I think he's a guy that will intrigue a lot of teams and will probably perform pretty well out there at the draft. All right, Dennis on the text line, and again, appreciate the text, Dennis, brought to you by Woodhouse. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. And I'm going to have Camden jump in on this one, but he asked me, would you like to see this happen in women's softball? Move the fences back, right field, left field to 300, power alleys 325, and center 340. It has become a hitter's game. We've heard that a lot here recently, and I could see it maybe being some conversations, but also, Camden, I don't know if you make it mandatory. If he said for softball games are too short, the fields, I don't know if everybody would be able to take on that kind of project, and everybody might have, not every field, every softball field would have the capabilities of extending those fences.
Yeah, when I was up at Washington a couple of weeks ago, they got a big lake beyond left field, and so that's something where they really wouldn't be able to extend their fences because then they'd be up directly against the water. Plus, they have outfield seating that extended from right field foul line to about center field. So, I mean, they'd have to get rid of that, and it ran right up against the football practice facility that was deep in right field there. So, I mean, they totally wouldn't be able to extend their field without having to create a whole new place.
Yeah, I think with a lot of ballparks, across the country, if you're talking about making it mandatory and extended it, I just don't know if a lot of ballparks would have that capability. But, that has been a big topic of discussion this year is, for so long it was a pitcher's game. And here in the last couple of years, it's really become a hitter's game. And we have had, by the way, I'm sorry I'm distracted if you're watching on the YouTube stream, we've got some graduates coming up. Also, speaking of what's on tap, coming up this weekend, and a lot of our Husker interns, our Huskers Radio Network interns are graduating, including Camden. But we've had a lot of graduates out there taking photos here over these, every time I've been in the studio, including our very own David and Henry, who are there and there. It makes me like a little bit teary-eyed to see you guys in your caps and gowns and your what is it called that you hang around your neck?
Oh, jeez.
The sashes?
There's
whatever
some
those
official term for it.
The ribbons, whatever.
No,
are you ready to graduate, Camden?
Stole. Is that something right? Stole? Might be a stole. But
Stole.
Yes, I'm ready.
Ready?
Ready to graduate. Saturday at like 9 in the morning, I think.
Well, congratulations again. We'll have some athletes as well graduating. But a big, these interns have been with us now for 2 years. They've been a big part of what we've been able to do. And so several of them graduating. Jake's also graduating. I don't know what we're going to do without them. But no, they'll be sticking around, a lot of them, for the summer. I think Henry's going to be headed to law school, so he'll be around. David's going to be around. Camden's going to be around for, well, I don't know how long Camden will be around. He's going to get snapped up anytime soon now for his job. But they've done a great job for us, and as they get set to graduate on Saturday. Should be a fun day. All right, coming up tomorrow night, this is the first Tuesday night show we've had in a long time. We will not have baseball. CNC will be headed to Purdue on Thursday. So we'll have a full 2 hours, and we got a big show coming up for you tomorrow. Matt Rule is going to join us for a couple segments on the show. I'm also set to talk to the big dog, Jeremiah Searles. He has been MIA for a while. So finally tracked him down. Going to be able to chat with him as well. So should be a fun show coming up tomorrow. We'll talk lots of Husker football tomorrow night, and throughout the week we'll get you set for that matchup with softball at LSU. All right, that's going to do it for me here on Sports Nightly. Again, we're back tomorrow night for a full 2 hours here on Sports Nightly. Thanks to Camden, thanks to Duke, and thanks to Coach Bolt and Ben in hour number 1. See you tomorrow night, Husker Nation. Have a great night.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Your Nebraska Lottery has a monopoly on fun. Actually, it's our new $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket, and it's also part of a terrific second chance promotion. Until July 22nd, enter any non-winning $5 Monopoly 10X scratch ticket online for a chance to be one of 10 weekly winners of $1,000 or the grand prize of $10,000. Pass go and enter today. $5 Monopoly 10X top prize odds 1 in 114,000. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro. Hasbro is not a sponsor of this promotion.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
When you're in the stands and have the ability to control your irrigation in the field, it's a game-changing moment. Valley is where farming meets end zone efficiency. With AgSense remote irrigation technology, farmers become the MVPs of their fields. Experience real-time, play-by-play action and control that keeps you ahead. Score big with irrigation technology from Valley. It's technology that improves your life and lets you be at the game and in the game. Find your local Valley dealer at valleyirrigation.com.